Hi guys. Business card is my makeshift screensaver when I'm in the car. It's all I got. I'm in the car at Kroger. Just got gas. This Kroger gas has saved my entire life these last couple weeks. Well, being a realtor in general, because I can get the points from groceries to use to discount the gas. Like, it's the best thing ever. Why is this flashing? Oh, it's another light. Okay. Hi, so this is another random kind of scope, but I wanted to come on and do one today about down payments. So let me just give people another second to hop on before I start the content as usual, and then we'll get right into it because I got to go pick up my baby in a minute. I got to go pick up my baby. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. If you guys know anybody that's about to buy a home and you think this would be good information for them, please share it. So the little man is down here, at least on my iPhone it is. The little man's down here. You can share on Twitter, Facebook, or you could just copy the link. And if you're watching the replay, you can't comment, but you can still double tap the screen to give hearts. Hello. All right, I'm going to jump right in. You guys know I don't take up the whole time like, oh, where you from, blah, blah. That's just not me. So, sorry. I'm Rashida Clark. I am a realtor my office is in Newport News, but I work all over the peninsula and on the south side. And I actually just finished showing property a few minutes ago. So that's why my gas light came on, and I was like, shoot. I got to stop and get some gas. So I'm at Kroger, and then I was like, I'm about to do a scope today. Another one. I did a walkthrough earlier. So I want to talk about down payment. So I'm going to quiz everybody that's on that can even comment first to see if you guys know. So do you know how much you have to put down on a VA loan? Anybody? And if you don't know the answer, you can just guess. Let's see. Don't judge me. I went to McDonald's today. It's terrible. Hi. Let me reintroduce myself. I try to do it when I have people that come into the scope. My name is Rashida Clark. 10%? Okay, hold that thought. My name is Rashida Clark, and I am a realtor in Newport News, Virginia. I work all over the peninsula and the south side sometimes. Hi guys, welcome to the scope. We're talking about down payments. So the question was, how much do you have to put down on the VA loan? NYC, hi from NYC. Hey, you pop into my scopes a couple times here or there. Welcome back. Again, for everybody that just hopped in, if you know anybody that is looking to buy and they would need some information about down payments, please share the scope. Click the little man down here, and you can share it on Facebook or Twitter. If you're watching the replay, you can't comment, and if you're watching live, you can't comment, unfortunately. But you could always email me, and I'll put my email address back up in a second. So my first question was, how much do you have to put down on the VA loan? And I think Danica said 10%. On a VA loan, you don't have to put down anything. So a VA loan is a 100% loan, which is great. And I'm going to do a whole VA scope later because a lot of people are eligible for VA and they probably don't even know that they're eligible to use a VA loan. VA loan is the best way to buy a house. The best way to buy a house. Easiest way to buy a house. VA actually doesn't even have a minimum credit score requirement. Most people don't know that. The bank that you use may have a minimum credit score requirement, but some of them don't. VA doesn't have a minimum credit score requirement to get their loan. The interest is the same as it is for any other loan. Some of it is going to be based on your credit. If you have terrible credit, like a really terrible credit, then it may be a little bit higher. But the government-backed loans are VA, FHA, the Federal Housing Authority, and then you have state loan programs. Those interest rates are usually pretty fixed, and they stay competitive. It's different than a conventional. If you're using a conventional loan, the interest rate is going to be based solely on your credit score and how much you're putting down. So we talked about VA really quick. FHA, which is Federal Housing. I think I always say authority, but I think it's administration really. Any guess about how much you have to put down on the FHA loan? This is a trick question. I'm gonna just tell you, it's a trick question. It's a good one though. Yesterday I didn't have anything to drink and I lost my voice. Y'all remember? Is anybody on? Close, Danica. 0. Okay, so you and Alan are almost correct. Rick, 5%. Okay, so Danica and Alan are pretty close. So there still are 100% loans through FHA. 100% means there's no down payment. You can finance the whole thing. If you're not using a 100% loan, the regular down payment is 3.5% for an FHA loan. And I think there's a new FHA loan product where they will allow you to put 3% down, but your score has to be a little bit better. So for FHA, your base score has to be at least 580. Most banks want it to be a 620. But to do the 3% down loan, it needs to be a little higher, like 660, something like that. 5%, I saw somebody said 5%. There are some loans that'll do a 95 and a 5. Basically, they'll finance 95% of the home, the price of the home, and you put down 5%. So that is not necessarily an incorrect answer. So you guys are pretty on it. What I do like people to know is that even when you don't have the money for down payment, either there's a program out there for you, meaning there's a loan type, or there's a grant program that you can use to get the funds. There's always a way. So either you can use a loan type like a VA loan, which is 100%, the FHA loan 100%, or you can use a grant program. Right now, Atlantic Bay and Wells Fargo have grant programs where you can get up to 5% of the price of the house in a grant for the down payment and closing cost. So there are always options out there. The other thing I always remind people about, which I got to get with Danica about, is every state usually has special programs as well. So our state, I'm in Virginia, our state just had a program, which is we have the Virginia Housing Development Authority, we call them VHDA. They just had a grant program this summer where they were doing the same thing. You could get 3% to put down on your home. And so I've had people closing with putting down no money. Or very, very little money. The last lady I had closed the end of October, she bought a check for $325 closing. She used the grant and the sellers paid the closing costs. $325. She bought the closing. That's it. So the stuff is out there. You just got to ask the questions. Even, let me talk about the FHA really quick. When you use an FHA loan that's 100%, your interest rate is going to be higher. So it's different than the VA. VA is always 100%, no matter what. It's always a 100% loan. If you're using an FHA 100% loan, the interest rate is going to be higher, and that's going to be the case in different ways because you're not putting any money down, so you basically don't have a stake in the game. So they consider that to be a little bit of a riskier loan, so the interest rate is higher. The other thing I want to say, which I talked a little bit about yesterday, is if your credit score is kind of low, putting down more money can help get you approved, number one, and it can help lower your interest rate. Or you can buy your interest rate down, actually. So we talked about 2 ways you can get down payment money, or one way you don't even have to have a down payment. You use a 100% loan, or 2, you use a grant. 3, you can get a gift from a family member, a spouse, lots of different people. You can get a gift. 4, I just keep coming up with ways. So 4, you can borrow from yourself, from your 401k, your IRA. Sometimes you can borrow from your pension. Depending on the type of account you have, you can borrow or withdraw that money penalty free. A lot of retirement accounts still have that option where you can take money from it for your first home purchase for the down payment. Or a lot of times you can borrow the money from yourself. My old retirement account was like that. You borrow the money and you pay it back at very low interest, but you're paying it back to yourself. So you get all the interest, you get all the props from that. The good thing about that is because you're borrowing the money from yourself, the lender does not count that payment as a debt. So it's kind of a win-win. So 4 good options. Four. And it's still like pulling teeth for me to get people to buy. I don't know. Yes and no, Rick. It depends. You've got to look into the type of account, because so many people, everybody has a different type of retirement account. I used to work for the local government here. I used to work for the city of Hampton. My retirement account, when I was there, you could not withdraw. You had to just borrow the money in the form of a loan and pay yourself back. But there are, like the other types of 401ks, where they will allow you to withdraw the money penalty free. It's got to be going to the home purchase. And I think you have to be a first-time home buyer. So yes, that's true, but make sure you check the rules on your account, whatever kind of account it is. It's not always true for everybody. Hi, Money Man. So I had a couple people come in. I'm going to do another introduction, but I can't stay on much longer. So let me just reintroduce myself. I'm Rashida Clark. I'm a realtor. And technically I'm in York County right now, but I'm a realtor on the peninsula in Virginia, the Southern Peninsula, I guess we would consider ourselves. Coastal Virginia, whatever you want to call it. Talking about down payment options. Please go back and watch the replay if you just hopped in, or if you have a specific question, go ahead and drop it in the next minute or two, because I'm going to hop off. People are looking at me weird because I've been sitting here randomly in the parking lot talking to my phone. It always looks a little weird when you're on Periscope to other people who don't know what you're doing. Everybody drives around and then they gawk at me like, what is she doing? Why is she talking to herself? There was something I wanted to say about state loan programs that's kind of slipping my mind right now. Whatever state you're in, check the housing programs. Google, if you're in New York, if you're in North Carolina, Google their housing programs, because the states do offer special types of grants or special types of loan products for you that sometimes are better than the FHA loan, which is what a lot of first-time home buyers use. So definitely you want to Google that and find out what options they have available. In my city, actually in Newport News and Hampton, the city of Newport News has a grant for home buying. A lot of people don't know that. The city of Hampton, their housing authority, an example of the state programs. I think you mean an example of state programs. Sure. So, like I was saying earlier, how is it better than FHA? Okay, I got you. Sometimes the interest rate may be better. Sometimes, many years ago, our state, well, actually the city used to offer a buying down the rate, which a lot of people don't talk about it right now because the rate is low. The rates when I bought were higher. Not much higher, but higher. And you guys, it doesn't take a whole lot for the rate to increase for it to make a big difference in your payment. So the rates were higher. They were like around 5%. I used one of the local programs here that bought my rate down. So instead of it being at, I think it was at 5.5%. So instead of it being 5.5%, they bought it down to 5%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're financing a house, that's a lot. It depends. Every grant, it depends on where the grant funds are coming from and how they take title. So all of the grants usually are going to take a lien against your house. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But say, for example, the VHDA grant, the state grant that was just happening. So they take a lien against the property, or they have you sign a special document saying that you got this grant. You need to live in the house for 2 years for the grant to be forgiven, or you need to live in this house for 3 years for the grant to be forgiven. If a lot of times there's first lien holder, second lien holder, third lien holder, whatever. That has to be worked out with your lender, because they're going to know that kind of information. Some grants cannot be combined. They don't want to have to take third lien position or whatever. It can get kind of complicated. So if you find a grant program and you want to use it, talk to the lender first and let them do that legwork for you to figure out if they can be combined. I have somebody that was just approved by Atlantic Bay using their grant program, and I'm suggesting he look at some houses in the city of Hampton. The houses in the city of Hampton have grant money attached to them from the city of Hampton. And I talked to the lender. She said, yes, they can be combined. She's familiar with those grant programs though, so she can very easily work it. So sometimes it can be combined and sometimes it can't. Just all depends on where the money's coming from. In other words, what kind of money is it? So, and how they take title. That was a really long-winded explanation. The other, yes, it does. You guys, all of these things could potentially affect your rate, because the grant money, so if you're not putting any money down, they still consider you to be a little bit risky. So getting the grant money is going, like the grant money that we had from the state a couple months ago, it did come with a higher rate. But if you want to combat that, you just need to make an extra payment or add extra principal amount to your monthly mortgage. And I always suggest that. You get a mortgage, add $50 or $100 to every payment, or make a extra or 2 extra payments a year. That alone will take 5-7 years off your mortgage, if not more. Make extra payments. When you get your tax return money, make an extra payment. Because then you could take a 30-year mortgage and cut it down to 20, 25 years, less than that usually. The grants, good question. Really good question. So for the most part, most of these grants are going to be applied for by your lender. So for example, the grant money that comes from that specific bank, Atlantic Bay, you don't do a special application. The application is done by the lender when you get into a contract on a home. So there isn't any special paperwork you have to fill out. The grants from the city, they do have applications. At least in my area. So I don't know if you're in my area. I think it was Dre. I don't know if you're in my area, but the city grants do have special applications that you have to get. But usually the federal or the statewide grants, there isn't a paper application that you need. It's just something that the lender submits on your behalf. And you can only get it when you're under contract. Hello. Thank you for jumping in. You can only get it when you're under contract. So when the state had that grant program, it ran for like 3 months, and people would call and they'd be like, hey, can I want to, reserve my grant money. You can't just reserve it like that. Like, you have to actively be looking for a house, find a house, get under contract in that house for that money to be reserved for you. So you can't just say I want to apply and then try to reserve the money and then never ever never ever use it. So welcome. Kisses. So okay, I want to go back to FHA because I had a thought. No. They won't. I would Google your State Department first, and I would start there, Danica. Well, actually, some of that legwork I'm going to kind of help you with, so don't worry about doing too much. But I would start with the State Department, and then when you get with a lender, a good lender should be able to tell you if there are funds available for you to use, in addition to you also, trying to figure out if there's anything else. Because sometimes they don't, some lenders just don't have the ear to the street like that. And unless it's a program that their bank offers, they may not know about it. So I always suggest you check your State Department or your city. The other way that FHA can be better, the State Department grants can be better than FHA, is because sometimes they may be a little bit more lenient on scores. On debt ratios. They may be a little bit more lenient on the interest rate or the APR. It just all depends. Some of the state grants, they may not require you to put a down payment down. It just all depends state by state. So it's going to change a little bit. Like in our case, the grant that I keep referring back to, that was a state grant. So you had to be using a state loan, one of the state loan products, in order to use it. You couldn't use a FHA. So that's how it can be better. Does anybody else have any questions? I always feel like what I'm saying doesn't really make sense. So you guys tell me if it does or if it doesn't, and I'll try to break it down. I should not be drinking this Coke, but it's so good. Yes, so I have email. Let me put the light on. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, here is email. I'm in the car, so this is my business card. Can you see that? You guys can take a screenshot too if you need to. My hand is shaky. Hold on. Screenshot that if you need to. This is my email, my cell, all that kind of good stuff. And you can also find me on Facebook and message me on Facebook directly. I've got somebody I gotta do a private scope with because they wanted. No, I'm not. I just don't have steady hands. I've never had steady hands. It's really bad. Really, really bad. If anything, I'm more tired than I am nervous. You guys got it? Yeah, I did the walkthrough scope earlier today, and it's really hard to do a walkthrough. Like, by the time I finished that walkthrough scope, I was tired. I was out of breath. I was like, I need to take a rest. I'm out of shape, or I don't know. But it's kind of hard to walk with a selfie stick and like get the right angles and talk and explain things and read the screen and answer questions. I was done. So I'm tired. Woo. Okay, well, I'm glad you guys found the information helpful. Email me, of course, if you have more specific questions. Danica, I'll get with you because I haven't had time to do that research, but I am going to do it. And I'm always available, you know, on Facebook and everywhere else. So I appreciate you guys watching tonight. Appreciate the shares, appreciate the hearts. And I've got a long day tomorrow. So you guys have a good night.